Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?
With veganism on the rise, Generation Vegan interviews the up-and-coming hottest vegans. And in this podcast, we teach you the practical side of having a plant-based diet. Today, I talk with Amanda Fisher, my first Australian vegan bombshell. Her social media presence is strong, and through that, she inspires thousands of people to eat less meat. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited you're back to the Generation Vegan podcast. And today we are interviewing the sexy Amanda Fisher. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, yes, that's right.
She is actually a Australian vegan fitness model. She is the co-owner of Bang & Bods, the fitness center. She has 11,000 people following her on her fitness journey on Instagram. And she's been featured on tons of online magazines like news.com, which is an Australian news channel, and like the Today Show and ABC Creative Fitness and Swimline and Oxygen magazine. Like, such information. So glad to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you so much for reaching out to me, and I'm so happy to be here and talk to you about veganism, about my life, and to share my experiences and everything with you.
Yes. So the very first question I always ask people is just to kind of tell your vegan journey, but with the emphasis of why you became vegan. Like, was it for the environment? Was it for your health, or was it for the animals, or a combination of the three?
Well, my journey started back when I was 12, and I went to a Chinese restaurant with my mum, and oh my gosh, it was eye-opening because they bring out whole animals, and they brought out this fish, and there was people like hitting the head of the fish with chopsticks, and they brought out this duck, and it had the beak on still. And I guess that's when I sort of really realized, hey, these are actual animals that we're eating, and it sort of all made sense in my mind. But back then, my mum didn't know anything about being vegetarian or vegan, and neither did my dad. They both grew up on farms, and so they were just like, you can't not eat meat. Like, that's just crazy. Just don't be crazy, Amanda. And so when I was older, I think I was about 17, I just go, no, I can't do this anymore. I have to take control of my life and myself. And I stopped eating meat and was vegetarian for 10 years. And the more I sort of saw and researched, and the more things that became available on the internet, because I mean, I'm 31 tomorrow, so there wasn't a lot of stuff back then either. Like, the information and resources that people have today to help transition is so much more. So as more and more information became available, I was started to learn about the calves that sent off to slaughter for veal, about just like the horrible conditions that hens are kept in to lay eggs. And I was like, I can't be part of that. Like, being vegetarian isn't enough. It's not like enough I'm still supporting the killing of baby male chicks. I'm still supporting like the veal industry and stuff. Even though I'm not actually eating the meat, I'm still supporting that. So that was really when I decided that I had to transition to veganism rather than just vegetarian.
Wow. And it's awesome that you mentioned that, because I say that all the time. Like, when people complain or say it's too hard to go vegan, I'm like, no, it was hard going vegan in like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Like, it's amazing today what you can buy at a local grocery store. I mean, I live in a very small town, and my grocery store, I asked if they could give me some vegan beef, and they were like, sure, we'll order it. Like, that's so
we're still catching up a little bit over here in Australia, but it's getting so much easier compared to, when I first transitioned. It was just like tofu pretty much and tempeh, and now we have all these, like, we even started getting, I remember when I saw tofurkey, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we can get tofurkey now. Not that I eat many of those type of things, but it's just the awesomeness of all that catching up, so that people who are transitioning, it gives them more options.
Yes, that is. So is Australia actually vegan friendly? Like, do you know the stats of how many vegans are there? No.
No, I don't know the statistics, but we're definitely getting a lot more vegan friendly. I recently was in Japan, and that was really quite difficult to be vegan over there. It's surprising because you think, oh yeah, they have a lot of tofu and all things like that, but they put fish in like all their dashis and stuff. So yeah, it's was quite difficult over there compared to Australia, but Australia is so easy, especially on the Gold Coast here. We have so many like vegan friendly restaurants. We have a lot of just vegan specific or vegetarian specific cafes as well. There's like about 5 or 6 in my area that don't serve any meat at all. They are purely vegetarian or vegan cafes, so it's really good.
So cool. Like it feels so good when you're walking down the grocery aisle. Like I just got done grocery shopping and I bought Ben & Jerry's, which I've seen some controversy on YouTube about if it's actually vegan or not. But Ben & Jerry's like caramel something ice cream, and I'm like, yeah! I literally in the store. I was like,
yeah, no, it's so good when you see major brands starting, and there's 2 sides of it. Yes, they're trying to like be in a market that's obviously growing and make money from it, but it's also great that they're recognizing that there is becoming more people who are not wanting to partake in the dairy or meat industries and wanting to opt for a vegan lifestyle.
I know, it's so exciting. It's actually, I don't know if you've heard the controversy between like Miley Cyrus and Beyonce, because they both have claimed that they're vegan, then they go back and then they're like, oh no, I actually eat meat. And I just found these brothers today and they're vegan on YouTube, and they're like, shut up all you vegans, for even like dissing Beyonce or Miley Cyrus. They have affected more change than you will ever affect just because of how many people they have power over. And even just mentioning it like is
so powerful.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, besides when you became vegetarian and then when you like started giving up dairy and milk and everything, when you decided to go vegan, what 3 side effects did you notice besides the obvious, energy and stuff like that? Like, what are the other 3?
My skin cleared up.
Yes.
Because I was living off a lot of chocolate and cheese and things like that before I transitioned. So had like really bad hormonal acne and pimples down there all the time. And yeah, that cleared up. So that was one of the biggest things I noticed, and one of the happiest things. I mean, my energy did improve, obviously, and I just felt lighter as well, like just lighter. It's a hard feeling, and I'm sure other vegans would understand that sort of feeling, but it's hard to explain to people who do eat meat, and especially and a lot of dairy as well, that you feel sluggish in your tummy. And I mean, if I have a huge like big fatty carby cheat meal, that's sort of like the similar feeling, but you feel like that all the time. Whereas now I don't have that hardly ever, unless I do go crazy and have like a huge disgusting meal with like a cheat meal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a parachute that's on your back and you're trying to run and you don't know, you don't even see the parachute until you actually give up everything, and then you're like so free, but it's something you can't explain to people. No one could explain it to me when I ate meat, so.
Yeah, no, it's hard, and you don't really think about it until you actually go, hey, I don't have that feeling anymore.
Right. So for the transitioning vegans out there, what do you suggest? I mean, what did you find the hardest to give up when you went vegan? Because I know cheese is like the biggest thing for people, but even when you went vegetarian, like, has there ever been moments when you've been at a restaurant and you really want to order like meat or cheese or something, and how did you get over that mentally?
Not so. I've never really wanted to order meat because it was for so long it had been like a disgusting thing for me since I was like younger, and then being like, I don't want to say like I was kind of forced to eat it because my mum was like, you have to eat all your meals and stuff like that. But it's just because she didn't know any better and she wanted the sort of the best for me. But when it came to dairy and things like that, I thought cheese was going to be difficult for me. But it really wasn't. Cheese wasn't. Eggs, I still had like some cravings for eggs for a while. I don't know whether it was like, I don't know. It would be just like an egg would pop into my mind and I'd just be like, oh, I kind of feel like an egg. And then I'm just like, oh, no, yuck. Because then you start to also remind yourself of what eggs are. And then you're like, yeah, that's kind of gross. I don't actually need an egg.
Right. And
yeah, so I guess just remind yourself of what things actually are and think about it like realistically. So go, okay, well, if I feel like drinking this milk, it's just like got pus, it's like, yeah, blood cells, all that kind of stuff in it. It's just like, no, I don't want that. It's just the fantasized idea of it, I guess. And you can go have like an almond milk or a coconut milk or soy milk or something like that, and you don't get all the pus and things like that in it. And it tastes just as good.
Right, exactly. And for the transitioning vegans as well, for me, even now, I struggle with energy a lot, and I don't really have that like energy burst that a lot of vegans claim to have. And so what do you suggest for people if they feel like they're not getting enough energy?
Making sure like I'll have a coffee once a day. That's sort of like my little energy thing. Make sure you're exercising. Exercising is great for getting blood flowing and making you feel more energetic. Even if you just like do sort of like 10, 20 star jumps and just get that blood flowing and get the oxygen pumping around your body, it just, yeah, really sort of refreshes your mind. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Water is a big thing for feeling like tired and feeling run down. I notice, like now when I feel it, when I haven't had water for a while, I'll have like a little bit of a slump. So yeah, making sure you're drinking enough water is really important. And if you are stressed, doing like some breathing or meditation techniques as well is really good, because yeah, it calms your mind, it makes you feel better.
So do you have any tricks or techniques to like maybe remind yourself to drink more water, maybe like put it in front of you or something?
Yeah, I always have a glass on my desk. I have my little Hello Kitty mug, because I'm like a bit obsessed with Hello Kitty, and I always have it with like water on my desk for me.
I love that. I did see that on your Instagram, like you going to Japan, you're like, fangirl moment. Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
So cute. So speaking of your Instagram, I saw the Beyond Blue post that you had, and
Yeah.
I assumed, I just kind of read the tag, but it just seemed like it was about depression and mental health. So what do you think about that, and have you been through, can you give us an experience of what you've been through with mental health?
I've had, well, I still do. I've had really bad anxiety for quite a while, and I think really doing a lot of yoga helps with that, and probably cutting a lot of the dairy out of my diet. So sort of around the same time I started doing more yoga, and that's when I did transition to vegan as well. So I think with maybe the combination of the two did help me feel sort of more positive and be able to control my anxiety, because I never wanted to be on long-term medication for it. That was not something that really appealed to me. I didn't want to have a life like that. And I mean, I'm always skeptical of pharmaceutical companies anyway. So yeah, just to be on long-term medication was not an option for me. So yeah, I really had to sort of start doing some natural things to help that.
Right. And I think a lot of people, which is so sad, I think everyone struggles with anxiety, and maybe like 75% of us struggle with depression, because there's just so many options and technology and
Yeah,
pulling us all over the place.
overwhelmed and not knowing what we should do.
Exactly. And then if you want to really get energetic about it and woo-woo, I always talk about how the depression and the death and the anger and the anxiety of the animals that people eat, and then they don't even think about the fact that they're eating like freaked out animals.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's really cool when people, especially women that other women look at your Instagram and your life and they kind of think, oh, she's perfect. Oh, she's got everything. I think it's really nice to be honest and be like, no, look, I struggle with anxiety and depression, and it's not all about what you think of, like what you see me as. It's like what I'm going through. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good, because a lot of things that I've noticed, especially with anxiety and things like that, when you can't talk about it, it gets so much worse. And the amount of people that once I've told them that I have it, they're like, oh, wow, I never would have thought that. I actually suffer with this too.
Right.
And it's just like, and then they don't feel alone. They don't feel like they're sort of isolated in the world, and that it's a thing that's really unique to them. It's something that I think most people go through. And so the more you can sort of talk about it and not make it like an issue, and so people realize that, yes, they've got someone that can understand. Because too, people who don't haven't been through it or don't know too much about it, they find it really hard to relate to people that have. And so when you kind of find an ally in someone that has gone through things like that, it can be easier to open up and to share your experience and to feel sort of like, well, I do feel like normal that I go through these kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. And is there a website that people can go to contact Beyond Blue or just be a part of that movement?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's beyondblue.org.au possibly.
Okay, I'm going to leave that in the show notes so people can find that. I do want to talk a little bit about soy because there's so much controversy, and it's just something I ask all of my guests because I don't know what to think about it. So what do you think about soy?
I have soy every day. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't have bad side effects from it. I have tofu pretty much every day, and also probably a soy flat white maybe once or twice a week. During summer over here, because it's so hot here on the coast, I've been having a lot of iced coffees, or iced Americanos. But during winter, I'll just go back to having soy milk in my coffee as well. So yeah, I don't personally have any issues. There's sort of mixed research on it. I think a lot of the research that has been done on it has been by people who aren't have like a vegan or vegetarian agenda. It's a lot of people that are in like the milk or dairy or meat industry. Mm-hmm. So there probably is a bit of bias to a lot of the research. So, and I mean, the Japanese have been having edamame, they have tofu and all of that in their lifestyle for thousands of years. So yeah, and they haven't had sort of any side effects from that either. So that's sort of like a lifestyle thing. I know that they still have fish and things like that, but yeah, they have a lot of soy as well. Surprisingly, not a lot of soy milk though. It was quite hard to find. I could only really get it in Tokyo. So yeah, soy products, but not so much the milk over there.
And what's a good recipe that people could, like a very basic, very easy recipe for tofu that people could copy?
Well, I just have this is my standard meal. I do like a little bit of tofu, about a cup of rice, and then just steam some veggies. That's just like my go-to meal. I just put it all, the rice and the veggies in top of the slow cooker, and then just grill tofu with like a little bit of teriyaki or barbecue marinade and on the grill, and that's just like my sort of go-to easy, lazy meal that I slap together.
That sounds so good. I'm so hungry. So on your social media, I didn't really notice a lot of, I like your style of like showing veganism. It's not very aggressive and it's not gross. It's really like light and good spirited. So that's awesome. But do you ever get any haters, and how do you handle them? Like, what do you say?
No, I haven't got any haters for being vegan. I don't really like the aggressive way of portraying veganism. I know there's two sides to every sort of thing. Like, we do sort of need the aggressive vegan people, but that's just not for me personally. I'm not a level 5 vegan. My partner is not vegan, unfortunately. Yeah, my animals, because I've got a dog and 3 cats, I don't feed them a vegan diet. I'm not like a level 5 vegan. I'm not. So I can't be too like aggressive in my sort of message of veganism. I prefer to just make people, I love people making small changes. My sister recently posted this thing on Facebook, which is big coming from her, about the dairy industry. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're like waking up. It's just like a little things, and just those little changes in people. And we can, if everyone just made little changes, we can keep moving forward. And if I do sort of get negative blowback, I just like either people, like what people say is more a reflection of them than it is a reflection of you. So you just have to just keep that in mind. They're only speaking from their experiences and what they've been through, and putting their filter on things rather than specifically attacking you.
And actually, a lot of two friends of mine recently just became vegetarian, and this is very big coming from them. And both of them separately were like spewing off all these like bad. Did you know what they do to their like cows? I'm like, yeah, I do. That's why I'm vegan. Like, why are you telling me? But yeah, I just let them talk because, you know, they need to like experience what I experienced to become vegan. So it is cool to watch people go through that transition, and I wonder what vegans thought of me when I was going through that transition. They probably saw like me starting to share videos, and then like
and got all excited that there's other people coming. I went in some of the vegan groups, especially there's a vegan group, like vegans in Australia. There's like a fight in there every day, and I guess I just get really annoyed that people want to fight against each other over these silly, like little 1%ers. And it's just like, okay, can't we all just come together for the greater good?
Right. And I debate if I'm going to like throw out the word vegan here and there, because honestly, I want to just be more plant-based in people's minds, and then they kind of just find out that it's no animal products, because you're right. Like you say vegan, and then maybe you're wearing like a leather belt or like leather shoes that you may have already gotten a year before you turn vegan, and you're not going to throw them away. That's wasteful. And then a vegan calls you out on Facebook, and then you got to like get in a fight. You're like, what are you doing? Like, chill.
We all have our own journey, and we all just are trying to do the best that we can to make a difference in the world.
I love that viewpoint. I love that. So I actually want to talk about your fiance. So tell me how y'all met, and then like what were your thoughts about him not being vegan, and just how do y'all deal with that?
Well, when we met, I was vegetarian, so it wasn't as big of a thing because it wasn't so much the ethics. I like just meat sort of repulsed me, and I just didn't want to eat meat. But as I've gone along, it's been a bit more like, okay, when you're preparing things, you can't prepare them like with my stuff. We have to have separate like cooking, and it's just, and I won't like feed Turbo his chickens, and it's just like more and more things are just as we've gone along, I'm just like, it's just not for me. I don't like being around it or seeing it or having to experience it really. But yeah, I mean, he tried it for about a week, but I think just the social side of things, and that when things have been ingrained in you for so long, it's hard to overcome that. And some people can, and some people can't, unfortunately.
I think the social aspect is a huge,
and especially the male culture here in Australia as well.
Especially like the male bodybuilder, like protein. I was there, like, you're there, you know, so it's possible.
Yeah.
Anyways, before I start drama, we'll just move on to the next question. Well, do you have any brands of clothing that you suggest for anyone or to go shopping, or do you kind of just shop wherever?
I just usually just make sure that anything doesn't, like, don't buy any leather. I make sure everything I buy is pleather. So I'm trying to find a really nice handbag, and I haven't been able to find any good, like, really nice pleather handbags. So I'm sort of just holding out for one of them. But yeah, it's just really whatever I can find that's just nice and isn't any, like, obviously derived from any animal products. One of the girls who has like a clothing label here, she's got some really nice shoes and stuff that are all vegan based as well. So yeah, I get some of them as well.
Have you heard that Ellen DeGeneres made like a leather shoe line?
Yes, I did hear that. I thought that was a bit offensive.
Right, like, why would you even pick that?
Yeah, when there's so many good pleather options as well. I mean, I don't see any difference in the quality of, like, having something that's pleather versus something, or vinyl or material versus something that's leather.
No, that was truly baffling to me. I was like, I was looking it up, and I was like, this has got to be just like gossip, but it absolutely does not. And I just thought, how weird is that? Like that she.
Yeah, especially when she's been so against and so vocal against animal cruelty and things like that, and claiming that she's vegan for so long, and it just really baffled me.
My friend bought me a purse that was, like you said, so hard to find pleather purses that are cute and good quality. And I found one, but it was actually not pleather. I found out it was real cowhide. And so I was just looking at it or whatever. And then my friend ended up surprising me and getting it for me like a week later. And I was like, oh, I'm vegan. And they were like, oh, sorry. They spent a lot of money on it. So I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and wear it. Like, just use it for a little bit. I need a purse anyways. Well, the entire time I wore it, the cowhide was like poking me through the skin, like through my clothes. And I was like, this is vegan karma.
Yeah, that's the karma for getting something.
I was like, no, girl, you can just have this back. Like, I'm not even going to try. Like, stopping me.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about SeaWorld? You know, if you were to have kids, like, and they were to go on a field trip, how would you feel about that?
I think it's something I haven't really thought about too much, and I do think our SeaWorld here is probably a little bit different to the SeaWorld in America. Our one does focus a lot more on conservation, but at the same time, like, I mean, I have a polar bear in captivity there. That's not really conservation. I've got a polar bear here on the Gold Coast when it's like 30-degree days. So that's not really like the conservation side of things. I mean, they do obviously, like, we've got shark nets and things like that. If there's animals caught in the shark nets, they do go out and rescue them. And if there's a whale that gets beached, they are involved in those rescue processes. So it's a bit of a conflicting thing. I know that there are a lot of Australian vegans that are very against SeaWorld, because when I think it was one of the morning shows here when it presented that, there was just like this huge hate thing on Facebook about it from all these vegans. But yeah, there's sort of two sides to every situation, and while they do a lot of really good conservation work, on the other hand, they are like holding a lot of animals that could have been in their natural environment, especially a polar bear here on the Gold Coast. Doesn't really make a lot of sense logically. But yeah, they are sort of like, do hold a lot of animals in captivity as well.
It's like, how did they even get the polar bear there?
I know, it's very, very strange. But yeah, they do things out like with the sea turtles and stuff like that as well. So it's sort of a double-edged sword there.
Right, and every time I hear like people, you know, battling back and forth about it, I think the best thing I've heard is that they should, you know, go save the people, but make it more of a sanctuary instead of zoos or like SeaWorld, and you can still make money off of animal sanctuaries. And I don't know, man, if I was a killer whale, I would have already killed a lot of trainers. So
yeah, tricks and everything like that is a bit like full on. But yeah, it's the other side of the conservation side of things is what they should make their focus on.
Really, they should.
They have a lot of like really good people who've done like marine biology and things like that. They know their stuff. They know what they're talking about. They know like how to care for and look after sick and injured animals. So if they made that more of their focus, I think it would be a lot better environment.
Right. So I don't know if Walmart is very prevalent in Australia, but do you have like favorite brands of cheese and ice cream that you could suggest to people that's, you know, all around the world or nationwide, I guess, worldwide?
No, we don't have a Walmart here. I think we have a Costco that may have just opened up somewhere in Brisbane. But I mean, my favorite ice cream is Cocoa Luscious. It's amazing coconut ice cream. They are based here on the Gold Coast as well, which is really good. So supporting a local business, but they make amazing coconut ice cream. They have like flavors like salted caramel and cookie dough and peppermint and coffee, and yeah, it's absolutely delicious. And then we have another one. I don't know if you guys have it over there. It's called Fries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love their soy schnitzels. I take them when I go to barbecues and things like that because again, I don't like to have too many sort of like processed type things, being trying to keep a good figure and physique and everything and compete. But when I go to barbecues, it's still good to have something easy on hand. So I love the soy schnitzels as well by Fry's. They're amazing.
So I know that the chicken and the beef are both, you know, more processed, but if you were to eat them, what brands do you like the most or taste the best?
I haven't really tried any of them. I mean, whenever I have things like that, it's usually at, we have two restaurants here that are both vegan Chinese. And so I mainly have that when I go out. It's just that I don't really buy a lot of packaged sort of food. I prefer to, other than tofu, I prefer to just stick with the tofu, and then if I'm out or things like that, then have the sort of the more processed food.
So if you see someone on your Facebook or in your life trying to transition or kind of starting, not to transition, but to wake up, if they ask you, I need information, what do you suggest I watch? What would you tell them to watch on YouTube or Netflix?
Well, my favorite one at the moment is really Cowspiracy, and I think that it's really good for a lot of reasons, because it makes you think about not just like the animals that you eat and the industry and things like that, but how it's impacting the whole world. And that's a really important thing. We should be doing our best to look after the earth as well. So I love the standpoint that it comes from, in the sense where it's coming from the environment. And if we don't start taking care of our environment, we're not going to have a very good world to live in. And I think that hits home with a lot of people who maybe don't need a bigger reason than just themselves or the animals to become vegan or vegetarian. Some that I watched when I was like going through my transition and trying to be healthier and everything like that was Food Inc. and Forks Over Knives. I haven't watched Earthlings. I'm probably one of the only vegans who haven't
either.
I can't bring myself to do it. I'm like, I've already got to the point where I don't want to partake in any of these industries. I don't think I need to watch it. I think it would just make me too upset to sit there and go watch all of that. I'm already not a part of that, so I don't want to watch that.
I'm the same way. I'm waiting for the day if I ever become weak and I'm like, I want a steak, then I'm just going to turn on Earthlings, and that's going to be the day I watch it, because it seems so intense. Like, I'm good. I'm already there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think like Forks Over Knives or Food Inc., one of them do have like some sort of like little graphic scenes, and that was enough for me. I was just like, I can't watch any more of that.
Yeah, and so everyone that's listening, I will be posting links to all of the documentaries she just mentioned in the description of the video, so you can pop on over to my YouTube channel and find them there. But I was going to ask you, let's see. Oh, okay, so what are your top vegan YouTubers that you like to watch or listen to? I
don't watch too many of them, unfortunately. I don't have a lot of time to sit there and watch YouTube, but a big Australian one who I do sometimes, she's like a bit of a guilty pleasure, is Freely, the Banana Girl. I'm sure most people would have watched Freely. I don't agree with everything she says, but she is doing a wonderful thing for veganism, and she doesn't take any crap. So yeah. She's just unashamedly herself. So I do watch maybe hers a few sort of times a month, but that's about all. I don't watch a lot of YouTube, unfortunately.
Are you? Have you heard about her raw tofu fruit festival? In Thailand, I think it is.
Have I heard about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you gone, or you plan on going?
No, I haven't gone. I haven't gone. I think she's here on the Gold Coast now, living here in this. I know she was from Adelaide, but I think she is living on the Gold Coast now. Yeah. So.
Well, if you ever run into her, you mentioned this podcast and that I would die if I can interview her. Just die.
I will. Just reach out to her. I know she likes doing a lot of vegan work as well. So getting her message out there.
Right. I did saturate like her. I did one round of like saturation on her social media, and it didn't catch her attention. She has so many people, but actually on the same website, I think I found you. I think it was veganbodybuilding.com. No, I think I found you on Instagram. Well, you were on veganbodybuilding.com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Your black picture with the black bra, and
Yeah.
she was on there too, and she looks totally different, and her email's not on there, but I was like, freeway, ah! She's funny. I mean, I don't agree with everything she says either, but like she does more work than I do, so whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely got her voice out there. And I do watch a little bit of Bite Size Vegan as well. I have watched a few of her podcasts because she's got really informative and like science-based ones. So it's like I was watching one about vegan pet food because there was a big discussion about vegan pet food in one of the Vegans in Australia Facebook groups. And someone actually posted links there. She did make some really good points. And there's a couple other ones. She interviewed one of my friends, Chrissy Cavallo. So I watched that one as well. Chrissy lives here on the coast as well. And she's a wonderful vegan fitness model too.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I'll interview her too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm seeing her this afternoon, so I can put you in touch.
Yay. Okay. So when you plan on having kids, like, do you plan on raising them vegan, or how are you going to do the school situation and everything?
I haven't put 100% thought into it. I will be not giving them any animal or meat products at all. Me personally, I don't know what Matt's going to do. We haven't got to that full discussion yet. And I would, if they do want to eat meat, that's their decision. Ultimately, I can only educate them from my perspective and tell them like what it is and where it comes from and what's involved in the whole process, and then see if they are able to make that like connection and conscious decision for themselves. And I think at least if you like explain it and help them make the connection, I think you'll be right.
Right. I don't know if you ever go out to eat too much, because I know it's kind of hard to eat out, but when you do, how do you order your food?
I eat a lot of chips. No, it's actually surprisingly a lot better here on the coast now. So it's quite easy to get vegan-friendly meals. Or yeah, they make vegan options. I went out for my dad's birthday last night, and they had two vegetarian options that were able to be made vegan very easily as well. So it's becoming more easy. Yeah, when I first transitioned, we had a lot of chips and a lot of just boring salads and things like that, but it's getting a lot better. I think that there's a real sort of healthy lifestyle movement here on the coast. So there's a lot of like healthy options out there, and a lot of them are vegan or can be easily made vegan as well.
Yes, I hate when people are like, oh, you're vegan? I could never be vegan. I could never eat salads and tofu all day. It's like, I don't eat either. I don't like salads at all. They're so boring.
Yeah, me too. I hate them as well.
And it's like the only way they're good is if you throw a bunch of animal products on them. So I don't ever do salads, like, ever.
No, it's been summer and I think I've only had like 1 or 2 salads total for the whole of summer.
I love that. So just for a little bit of vulnerability for everyone to kind of connect with you, when is the last time that you messed up, and whether that was like on purpose or an accident, and ate animal products?
Oh, I can't even remember. Like, I'm just trying to think. I think I was somewhere and they put milk in something that I was having, and I just was like, oh, I could taste it straight away. I think, it might have been at the coffee shop, and they made my coffee with normal milk, and I took a sip and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that tastes horrible, and I just like spat it out. The first time I did mess up and have I had soup. I'd ordered the restaurant knew that I was only vegetarian at the time, and they knew that I was, and they gave me this soup, and they assured me, oh, it's all vegetarian. We haven't used like meat stock or anything like that in it. And I was like eating it, and I had like 3 or 4 mouthfuls, and I'm like, I said to my friend, is that ham in that spoonful? And she's like, it couldn't be. They assured us, because she was vegetarian too, they assured us it was vegetarian. And I was just like, I swear that's ham. And I asked the waiter when they came back to the table next time, they're like insisting that they go ask the chef. And they did. They went back there, came back and said, I'm so sorry, that is ham. And I was just like crying. I went to the toilet and threw up. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst ever. And we were both, because we both were so upset together, and because we were just like, crying and just like trying to throw it up. So that was the worst time that I ever like had an experience like that, the very first time. But now I'm just like, oh no, actually I remembered the last time. Remembered it. It was my partner came back with we have this awesome vegetarian cafe just near us, and they do like these big salad rolls with falafels and things like that. And they have cheese still there. And he'd got a falafel one with cheese on it, and I'd got a protein patty one with no cheese on it and with hummus. And I took a bite into his falafel one, and I was just like, oh my gosh, there's cheese in here. And I was like, and spat it all out. And I'm like, they gave me cheese on mine. He goes, I think you've picked up mine. I'm like, oh, whoops.
It is so funny how much you can literally taste it once you're done eating it. Like I was at a conference and they had pre-planned lunch, and even on your card you could write like vegan or vegetarian or like gluten-free, whatever. So I put vegan, and I'm like sitting there eating this vegetable thing with like mashed potatoes, and I take a bite and I'm like, damn, that is good. I'm like, that tastes like butter. I was like, that is not like, no. And so I took one more bite and I was like, nah, this is butter. And they swore up and down that it was not butter, but I ended up flaring up like that day. I have rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease. And I ended up flaring up, and I was like, that was butter. It was butter. Damn it. So I don't know. I know you've been vegan or vegetarian for a very long time, but I know for like people in the beginning, it's hard for them to get rid of that disconnect of like, this is a steak bought at Walmart, but they don't understand that that is a cow that has been through just everything and is just terrible. So how do you break that disconnect in people?
It can be quite difficult, and I think each individual goes through a totally different process. Like as I said, for me, it was a situation where the actual animals were brought out to this table that was beside me. That was like that fish, and then the Chinese people were like cracking its skull open and to eat the brains, and then the beef was still on the duck with the char grill, and seeing that they were actual, not just a cut of meat, they were actual animals, was just like, oh my gosh, that it all like clicked in my head that these were like animals that were just like living, and then they were dead, and then or eating them. And like there's no difference between those animals than my cats or my dog or than me or than any other beings on this planet. There's no difference other than the meaning that we put on them. And so I think everyone has like a different process that they have to go through to awaken. It might be a video that they see on YouTube or Facebook. It might be, being in a restaurant and being exposed to that. It might even just be one day they go and they just, like, bones really creep me out. And I might just see, like, bones, and then I start to realise that that's something that, came from an animal that was alive and breathing. So and, cool. It's hard to say what can wake other people up, but it's just, I think, that's why it's so important to have so many different people out there saying different messages, because what doesn't get through to one person might get through to 5 others in a totally different way. Exactly. And so everyone should have like a voice to be able to bring it to other people. And that's the aggressive side does get through to people. The softer approach gets through to people. And that's why it's important to have so many voices getting that message out. We just can't attack each other.
Right. And I'm so glad that you're on this podcast. And that's why I created it, because for me, I had to go vegan. I honestly don't know if I would have if I didn't have to. And which is scary up here. But that's why I understand, like, it's hard to break that disconnect. And if I didn't have to, I wouldn't have. So I get it. But the whole point of this podcast is to just really show people that there are normal people out there that are just vegan, and it's normal. It's not weird. It's not like some weird fad diet. So
no, it's not. That's the worst thing I think that people can think of vegan, and that's the only sort of people that I get a little bit upset about are the people that's just doing it for a diet and don't have, and then like because it's cool at the moment or whatever, because they eventually will just go back, and that's not that doesn't help our cause or anything like that. It's just sad that you just do it for a fad because it's cool or in at the moment.
Yes, or like that girl that posted, that published a book called Breaking Vegan.
Oh, yes.
And the whole YouTube, it was like, what are you doing?
Just because she didn't, she had other eating disorder tendencies and things like that. And when I first went vegan, I had like a bit of a false start. I did transition, and then I got migraines, and I sort of mistakenly attributed them to my veganism and then I stopped. But it was because I just have compressed discs in my back. My back's just faulty, and it just decided to flare up around the same time. So, as soon as I went and had that sorted out, I was like, oh, well, it's not even the same. Like, it's two different issues, so I can go back to this lifestyle. So, yeah, that took me probably about 3 or 4 months before I was able to go, no, it's not this. I can go back to that. But, yeah, just people who blame veganism for health issues and things like that, they're just not doing it right, or they haven't found the right way for them yet.
I'm so happy you just said all that. Like, just admitting that, you thought it was migraines, and then you found out it wasn't, and you were open-minded enough to change it and move on and still focus on being amazing. So before we wrap up, it's already been an hour. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, I can see it up there on my screen. It's gone really quickly.
I know. I've loved this. Well, I ask all my guests, what are 2 goals that you have for yourself in the year of 2016?
I definitely want to compete again. That's a major one for me. I broke my leg at the end of 2014, and so it's been a little while coming back from that. Just training wise, and also my mindset hasn't been as strong because it's coming back from injury. You're always trying to protect your body because you don't want to get injured again. So I think I'm ready and I want to compete again. And the second goal, I don't know. I want to just have a happy and healthy year, really.
Okay, that's awesome. I love that. Well, where can everyone reach you at and on your social medias?
Well, Instagram is at Amanda__BB. So I've got the double underscore. And then I've got a Facebook page. I'm not as active on there. I just usually just post some memes and stuff. My Instagram is usually my big one. And I also have a Twitter, but that's more for my business, which is at BangingBods. BANGINBODZ. And
thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And I will be posting this video, in like 3 Tuesdays. And I will email it to you way before when I get it edited, and you can send it out to whoever you like.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope you have a good weekend. And always find me at Dark Sunshine, DARKSUNSH9. That's it for this week. Wasn't that awesome? Thank you so much for listening, and if you have any questions about becoming vegan or you're wanting to be on the podcast, please contact me at any social media, Dark Sunshine, DARKSUNSH 9. I can't wait to meet you.